Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Vinati Organics Limited 1Q FY22 results conference call hosted by Ambit Capital. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Ankit Gore from Ambit Capital. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aman. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Ambit Capital, I welcome everyone to discuss 1Q FY22 performance of Vinati Organics Limited. From the management side, we are joined by Ms. Vinati Saraf Mutreja, MD and CEO, Mr. N.K. Goyal, CFO, and Mr. Kaviraj Devara, GM Corporate Finance. Without much ado, I would like to hand over call to Ms. Vinati for the opening remark, post which we can have a floor open for Q&A. Thank you, and over to you, Vinati.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks. I'm going to keep this short. It's a short call, so mostly we'll focus on Q&A. Also, Mr. Goyal is not with us, but Kaviraj is here. Anyways, just briefly commenting on Q1 FY22, ATBS sales have been quite strong. Demand has been good since it's mostly export-oriented. In fact, we've had the highest ever quarterly sales, and it continues to remain strong in the coming quarters. Butyl phenols have also picked up, and that is also attributed favorably to our growth. We expect about 160 crores of revenue from butyl phenols this year. IBB sales, quite frankly, are a bit slow. There is softness in ibuprofen demand. Nevertheless, compared to last year, we expect either a single-digit growth or mostly similar levels as last year as far as IBB goes. Our other products like isobutylene, MTB, IB derivatives, as well as customized products continue to remain strong and have healthy margins. Overall, yes, costs were high this quarter, mainly freight costs, ACN cost, as well as phenol costs. Some we will be able to pass on, some we may not. So we can comment on the margins later, but we expect to be up by 40 to 45% in FY22, and maybe EBITDA margins around 30 to 35%. That's it from my side. We can open the floor for Q&A.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may please press star and one. The first question is from the line of Rohit Nagraj from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. The first question is on the R&D front. So if you could just give us some understanding on how the R&D team is placed in, what are the products in pipeline currently, and the potential thereof. Anything update on PAP? Thank you.
See, our R&D team remains quite focused, and as you rightly pointed out, that's the most important aspect of our growth. At any given point, even today, we are studying about 10 to 12 different products. Some are butyl phenol related, some are other niche chemicals which either no one's making in India or we have developed a unique process. Some we have announced also capex, which is to be done in FY22. So that remains our focus as a company. PAP, I have maintained time and again, there's really no progress on that front because our pilot plant didn't give us the results that we had expected, and it was about more than 2 years back. And since then, we haven't restarted that pilot plant. And even though I know why you may be asking this question, PAP, paracetamol market is good, but we haven't had a chance to relook at our technology as far as PAP goes. So that's on hold as of now.
Sure. Thanks. That explains a lot. The second question is the recent floods in Mahad. So how have we been impacted? Will there be any material impact in Q2? And have the operations restarted? Thank you.
Sure. See, there were floods, massive floods in Mahad on 22nd and 23rd July, which we haven't seen in the last 40 years. Full MSCB, the entire MIDC electricity was down. In fact, the electricity is supposed to come back today. So that plant is shut as of now, and once the electricity is back, it will take us at least another week to 10 days to assess the impact of damage. It's still too early to comment. My preliminary, if I were to guess, maybe the plant will be closed for about 20 to 25 days. Fortunately, our customers have maintained enough inventory. We also have inventory of IBB and other products at our plant, which we are presently unloading. There are other IBB manufacturers also in India, so it should not impact the overall the IBB users as such, and let's hope otherwise everything is insured at the plant, so we're not much worried about the damage. But anyways, our idea is to get the plant up and running as soon as we can.
Thanks a lot and best of luck, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit Sinha from MK. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for taking my question. So just wanted to know that since we have seen strong ATBS growth in this quarter, so how has been the volume growth and the pricing growth in this product? If you can quantify.
See, ATBS, volume-wise, I would say we are definitely maybe on a year-on-year level, I would say at least 20-25% higher. There has also been price growth in ATBS, but that's mostly attributable to the RMC price, which has increased. But overall, in the sales mix, ATBS is still 50% what it was even last year, because there's a lot of addition of butyl phenols and other products, and hence you will see the margins have actually come down, because somebody would have expected if ATBS increases in the sales mix, then one could have expected higher margins, but that's not the case.
Right. So this is purely, obviously the RM costs have gone up, and maybe our low margin that butylated phenol sales has also, higher sales from that butylated phenol have also contributed to this lower margin?
Absolutely, and even freight costs have been ever highest. And since we supply our products delivered to our customers across America and Europe, a lot of the freight costs we've had to absorb.
Okay. Thank you. And on the IBB side, how has been the offtake? And again, on the pricing side also, how is it? And as the government has actually called for a price hike for this ibuprofen, so that is on that context, how we are seeing the pricing of this IBB?
See, ibuprofen pricing doesn't really affect IBB pricing. IBB is a small component of the cost of manufacturing ibuprofen. So I would say that that's a fairly stable demand price business, not much fluctuation coming from there.
Okay. And lastly, on just this update on this VL additives business, from when we are, is that online when we are?
Yeah, so the merger is, of course, the scheme has been submitted to the authorities. It has to get SEBI approval first, then it goes to NCLT, and then shareholder approval. Because of the second wave in April, May, there has been quite a bit of delay from the authorities. We expect the merger to get approved, or around sometime in Jan, and that is when also we expect the VAPL plant to finish its capex and start running.
Okay. So basically from FY23 maybe we'll be seeing.
Yes, correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. That's it from my side. I'll come back in a few.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Archit Doshi from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Thanks, ma'am, for the opportunity. Ma'am, I just one question. We had announced a couple of capexes in the last fiscal year, the 150 crore and 60 crore. If you can provide an update as to what's panning out on that front as well, and when will the revenue start kicking into our numbers? Thanks.
See, that capex is ongoing. Some of the new products will be part of the subsidiary Viral Organics. There is a slight delay of 2 to 3 months, again, because of the COVID and second wave, not much work was done. We expect to finish that by end of FY22, and even that should start resulting in revenues in FY22.
Sure, ma'am. And ma'am, the entire capex, can we expect that it will be capitalized in this financial year itself? 210 crores, that is?
Yes, it should, yeah.
Sure. Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Naushad Chaudhary from Systematic Shares. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. A couple of things from my side. Firstly, on the I missed a few minutes of the call, so if apology if I'm repeating it again. On the other expenses side, from last 2 quarters, we have seen the quarterly run rate has gone up from around 29 to 30 crore rupees to around 50 crore rupees now. And last quarter we had mentioned that because we had around 5.5 crore of rupees of CSR expenses, and there was some cost inflation in power cost because of the butyl phenol plant, and there was some more 2-3 crore rupees of other expenses. And this time we're saying because of the freight cost it has gone up. So what is the quantum, if you can share? Freight cost has taken this other expenses run rate to 50 crore rupees, and what could be the normalized rate going forward?
See, other expenses includes mostly power, fuel, other fixed expenses, and that has gone up as our production has increased in both ATBS as well as butyl phenols. Freight costs, if you ask me to quantify, personally, I think there was an excess from what we had budgeted. Say, for example, in Q1 or last year, I would say, the freight at least hit us by an additional 10 crores. Now, I don't know if it's coming down anytime soon. Doesn't look like in the next quarter, but we are trying to share that with our customers. Since, in the first quarter, we didn't realize that this is how high the freight is going to be, and it's going to continue to remain that. So we are trying to pass on some of that, or at least share some of that with our end users.
So 50 crore is now going to be there for coming quarters in terms of run rate?
Yes, correct. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And secondly, if I heard it correctly, you mentioned in your opening remark that butyl phenol, you expect around 160 crore rupees of sales in FY22. But I believe earlier we were guiding around 200 to 250 crore rupees of sales for FY22. So can you share the reason of this reduction in guidance of butyl phenol?
See, quite frankly, I still think it will be around 200 crores in FY22. I said 160 crores plus, just to be conservative, because we are selling that domestically, and in April, May, demand was a bit soft. But just looking at the uptake, I would still think it will be in the range of 200, but not 250.
Okay. And how much we would have sold in this quarter?
This quarter we were around 40 crores. 42.
Okay. Would you be able to give us the segmental breakup, your ATBS, IBB, and your other division?
Sure. ATBS was about 50% of the overall sales. IBB around 15%, and others all is the remaining 35%.
Okay. Lastly, on the labor issue, last quarter we had mentioned that we were facing some labor issues. Has that thing resolved, or are we still facing that challenge?
No, there is no labor issues, not for operations really, but maybe for capex, like to get that excess labor to do capex, that was a challenge. But as it's resolving as and when the COVID situation improves, we are able to get more and more contractual workers on site to perform the capex. But not for operations. Existing operations, no issues on labor front.
Understood. I'll come back in queue for follow-up. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Surya Patra from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity, ma'am. First of all, on the ATBS new capacity, what portion of that we would have utilized so far, ma'am?
See, this year we are running at close to 70%, 75% of 70% of the nameplate capacity, at least this quarter.
Okay. So that means more or less we are optimally utilizing the old facility, and the real ramp up of the ATBS will be seen going ahead.
Correct. Yes.
And do we find any challenge, ma'am, in terms of ramping it up, or see this current trend in the ATBS, what we are witnessing, robust sequential recovery and strong momentum, whether this is led by the pent-up demand, or is it kind of going ahead, this is a kind of run rate?
Yeah, you are right. Actually some of it in the last 6 months can definitely be attributed to the pent-up.
Okay.
My run rate or projection is concerned, I have just included an ATBS volume growth year on year of 15-20%, and that is how you get to 40,000 tons, which is the total capacity over the next 2 to 3 years. And I would still maintain that.
Okay. And similarly, if you can just give a sense, ma'am, even the IBB facility, the utilization after the expansion, what we would have done, and with kind of a normalization what we are witnessing in the IBB side. So by now, what utilization that we would have achieved?
See, in IBB there has been no expansion in the recent years because IBB demand has more or less been stable over the last 3-4 years. And that plant anyways runs at 70% capacity. So there we have surplus capacity. So if at all somebody wants more IBB, it's always available.
Okay. Okay. And sure, just on the ASEAN price trend, any specific view, ma'am? Why? Because wherever there is a kind of spike that we have witnessed in key imported raw materials, so there is a kind of visibility of a continued trend at least in the near future. So
no, actually, ASEAN prices have come down. They were at its peak in February and March, an effect of which you have seen in Q1 since it's imported. And at today, as we speak, in June and July, they're definitely at 25-30% lower than at its peak. So okay. It is looking promising, and I don't think it should go up again. That was just some temporary, I think, spike which happened.
Okay. And my last question on this matter, that on the butyl phenol thing. So whether this moderation in the number, in that you are kind of considering some portion of the business is getting utilized for antioxidant, that is why is this moderation?
As of now, it is not really being utilized for antioxidants, right? I mean, BACL is not making AO yet, so butyl phenol is being made to other companies. But overall, margins coming down, say from 40 to 32, 33%, yes, that includes butyl phenols, because butyl phenols I've always maintained is a lower margin product. Phenol prices are high, and there we are competing with imports, and we are also new players. So that's how it's going to be going forward as well.
Okay. Just one more on your permission. So this antioxidant, obviously this is a kind of a scalable opportunity, but let's say 3 years down the line, after getting the true integration and all that, let's say 3 years down the line, what portion of the overall business could be coming from antioxidant?
Well, if 3 years down the line, let's assume we are doing 2,000 crores in revenue. I would say at least 500 crores is coming from antioxidants out of that.
25% odd. So
Yes.
will this meaningfully change the margin trajectory for us, ma'am?
See, too early to comment. Antioxidants is definitely more specialty than butyl phenols, less commodity. Again, we will be a new player. We will be competing with the likes of BASF and so on in that product. But again, there's no manufacturer of our size in India. So and we will be doubly backward integrated. We will get synergies. We will use more of our IB capacity, more of our butyl phenols capacity. But I would still say, on a long-term perspective, one should, as a thumb rule, the margin percentage as a percentage of sales somewhere in the middle of 30 to 35. If anybody is taking it as 40%, in my view, they're being too optimistic. And that includes antioxidants, butyl phenols, ATBS expansion, everything.
Sure, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. The next question is in the line of Rishabh Duggar from CD Research. Please go ahead.
Good morning. So my first question is, what could be your catalyst for growth in the ATBS segment?
See, one could be, like someone mentioned, there was pent-up demand last year because of COVID. ATBS sales were a bit muted. People are filling up their supply chains and stocking up inventory. Secondly, there's also demand coming from the oil and gas sector, which was practically nil last year. I think there was not much oil exploration happening. But across segments, ATBS is used in water treatment, personal care. All those customers also seem to have a healthy outlook for ATBS.
Okay. So what is the single most thing you are most focused on?
R&D, new projects, new products, because that is eventually ATBS, IBB, butyl phenols, AO, they are all specialty chemicals. And if you have to keep growing year on year, and we have to look 5 years ahead, right? Today, whatever R&D we do will take at least 5 years for that product to come on stream and add to our revenues. That is one thing we spend a lot of time on, new products and looking at new projects.
Okay, so my last question is, ma'am, in the antioxidants segment, in the few years, what could be your competitive edge in the market globally?
We will be, I would say, not the only, but only two of the players globally that are doubly backward integrated. We will be making the butyl phenols as well as the IB for butyl phenols. That will be one edge, and we will be the last and the only manufacturer for some of the AOs in India. And India itself is a good market for antioxidants.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Nilesh Gupta from Kotak Mahindra Bank. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Ritesh from Kotak Institutional Equities. Just two questions. So one is on the ATBS side, as you're seeing more volume growth rates, is it happening at lower margin? And same for butylated phenol. If let's say your domestic sales change to exports, would your margins on the butylated phenol side improve? So that's question number one. And the second is, when you say that you are upgrading your R&D and you are increasing molecules, etc. I mean, if you could just talk about in terms of your R&D partnerships or the R&D headcount, etc., how you've gone ahead, because honestly, as scale rises, and you're probably doubling every 3 years. So as scale rises, to grow at the same rate, you probably have to double the efforts. So some qualitative commentary there would be very helpful. So these are the two.
So as far as ATBS goes, most of our customers are contractual, and it's unfair to say that the sales are growing because of lower price, because spot purchases are generally higher than the contractual customers. What has hurt us in ATBS is mostly the freight and ACN, which one could say is temporary. Coming to R&D, we work with a lot of Indian institutes like IICT, like CSIR, NCL, and some smaller institutes also. And we continue to do that. Our R&D team remains at about 15 to 20 people, including our HO as well as both our labs in the factory. And as of now, we've our hands full. We are working on quite a few projects. I don't think we should work on any more at this point, because then that dilutes. I would rather focus on a few and get at least one or two commercialized, and that should take care of in the coming years.
Sure. Just on butylated phenols, I mean, could you just guide me in terms of, like initially, because you are new to the entire space, the margins are lower now and probably will ramp up as you kind of have gained decent market share, or is it probably you're already at the steady state of margins on the butylated phenol side?
See, it's very hard to comment because till last year the margins on butyl phenols were decent. Now this year phenol prices have gone up. Now consecutively butyl phenol prices haven't gone up. But if one looks at a 10-year historical average of phenol versus butyl phenol margins, then one can say this year we are on the lower end of the margins. So there is hope that maybe in future phenol prices will correct and we may get better utilization. But nevertheless, once the antioxidants are on stream, 50% of the butyl phenol capacity will be used captively for AO. And then the focus will shift more on AO and less on the butyl phenol.
And is there any pipeline you have in terms of you are working on some projects where you can actually convert the rest of the butylated phenol also to forward integration? Because I think I was reading somewhere that butylated phenol has a lot of other application into fuel additives and a couple of other ones apart from antioxidants. So maybe are you looking at any other applications as well on the butylated phenols?
We are studying, because anyways one of the way we target products or look at R&D products, we look at synergies. So if there is any value addition of our existing products, forward, backward, horizontal, so that's always on our radar.
And ma'am, just a clarification on the ATBS point, you said that it's the contractual thing, but I think somewhere in the past you said that you are trying to incubate new applications, etc., new customers. So my question was more pertaining to that. If that is kind of leading to initially probably you're in just to incubate them, it is happening at a lower margin. That's the question I actually had.
See, last year, ATBS demand from our existing customers was slow, and that's why we were targeting the new customers and maybe at a competitive price. But this year, what I'm saying is our contractual customers only, their demand has bloated up. So it's not this year. It's not really that we are targeting new customers at a lower margin, because as of today there is shortage. Again, so let me answer. Last year there was a supply surplus in ATBS, but today there's a supply shortage. So I can't supply at compromised margins.
Understood. Thank you so much. That's it.
Now I'll take the last question.
Sure. We'll take the last question from the line of Levin Shah from ValueQuest Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. My question pertains to this gross margin. So what we have seen, and like you have already spoken about it, in terms of pressure that we have seen from phenol prices mainly. So this gross margins that we have done around 45%, what do you see this moving up once the prices start normalizing? And have we started seeing prices of phenol plus other raw materials started to come down?
Frankly, not for phenol. Phenol prices continue to remain the same what they were 3 months back. AC and acrylonitrile prices, which is a major component of our raw materials, since ATBS is a higher volume share, that has softened and that has come down. Again, as butyl phenol picks up, I'm not sure if you should really expect improvement or in gross margins over here. I think maintaining it at 45-50% is what my guidance would be.
Okay. So when we work with this kind of, the gross margins of around 45 to somewhere between 45 to 50, the kind of EBITDA margins that we would see would be even lower than 30%.
Absolutely. Not even lower than 30%. It would be around 32-33%. Then maybe the gross margins, if you take around 50 and EBITDA margins around 32-33%.
Okay. Because other expenses plus employee cost is close to 19-20% of our sales. So, I mean, then and the cost will remain high, like you said, about the logistics cost mainly. So this other expenses, the run rate will continue around 50 crores, right?
That's not the run rate. See, but when the sales increase, your other expenses and what you said, the other costs, the employee costs increase as much, right? They will not continue to remain 20%. They will slightly come down to 17-18%, right, as the volume increases.
Right. Understood. Yeah. That's it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be our last question for today. I now hand the conference over to Ankit Gor for closing comments. Thank you, and over to you.
Thanks, Vinati. Any conclusive remark? You can go ahead. Thank you.
No, that's all from my side. I think most points have been covered. And thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Ambit Capital, that concludes today's call. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.